Investment Committee for Thursday, December 10th. I'm going to read quite a few words that I have to read. Bear with me. Capital Investment Committee meeting will limit physical access in the meeting room due to current limitations on public gatherings. Accommodations have been made to ensure that the public is able to participate in the meeting. The public may participate in the following ways: watch the meeting on Franklin TV or the City of Franklin website. Watch the live stream through City of Franklin Facebook and YouTube accounts, or call into the conference meeting 1-312-626-6799, meeting ID 947-0360-7520, passcode 182312. Callers will be unmuted and given an opportunity to comment during the meeting at specific times. Limited viewing will be available in the lobby of City Hall, although Linnea is in the boardroom with us today, thankfully. The public may email comments and questions prior to 2:30 p.m. today, so you've missed your chance. Or you can send an email to recorder@franklintn.gov to be read aloud. Live comments and those submitted by email will be limited to 2 minutes. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I don't need a motion on that paragraph, right? Okay, good. However, here comes the next paragraph with the same, roll call. See who's here. All right. I don't have my cheat sheet, so we'll start with Margaret. Are you here? Margaret, are you here?
I'm here.
Great. Dana?
I'm here.
Bev?
I
see her.
Just barely, just got on.
Okay.
I'm
You
having,
just made it.
I just had internet issues, but AT&T assured me on backup, so hopefully I'll stay on. Thanks.
All right. All right. Party of four is here. We do have a quorum. Item number 1, consideration of resolution 2020-257, a resolution declaring that the Capital Investment Committee shall meet on December 10th, 2020 and conduct its essential business by electronic means, rather than being required to gather a quorum of the members physically present in the same location, because it is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. May I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, first and second, roll call vote. Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes, passes unanimously. Item number 2 is approval of minutes. Consideration approval of minutes of the October 22nd, 2020 Capital Investment Committee meeting. May I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Bev.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Margaret. First and second. Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes, passes unanimously. New business, election of chairman and vice chairman of the Capital Investment Committee effective 2021. Any nominations on the floor?
I nominate Margaret.
Awesome. Second on that? I'll second it, if I may. Any other nominations?
Call the question.
All right. Margaret, how do you vote? I've heard it's in vogue to vote for yourself, so feel free.
I'm not going to vote for that.
All right. I totally understand that. Dana, how do you vote?
I do. I vote for it.
All right. Bev?
I vote for it, but Margaret, is that okay with you? I mean, I didn't ask your permission, but are you okay?
Sure.
All right,
Cool.
good.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So I will vote yes. So it passes 3-2. We're going to call it an abstention. All right. Nominations for vice chair. Margaret, welcome. Do you want to take over the meeting now?
I'll let you finish this part.
Oh, thanks.
I nominate Beverly Berger to be vice chair.
I'll second that.
I nominate Dana McClendon.
No, I was first.
Well, you got to wait for a second. Margaret, we're going to give it to Bev or Dana?
Second.
Oh, my.
Oh, come on.
I second that motion.
Whose motion?
Well, evidently there's two nominations with 2 seconds on the floor. Does
Wait a
anyone want
Whose is she seconding?
to, Dana's, wait a minute, I got confused. Girls, help me here.
Margaret?
Okay, first of all, can we ask for some clarification? Because that kind of went a little fast. We want to make sure we get the record right. Was it Margaret who nominated Bev? Is that
No, it
true?
was me.
Hey.
I
Dana.
nominated
I
Bev.
will
Dana
withdraw.
nominated Bev, and who was the second?
I was.
Okay,
Brandon.
And then
And then
Margaret nominated Dana.
No, Margaret did not nominate.
I did.
Oh, Bev.
I'll tell you what, let's make this simple. I'm going to withdraw my nomination from Dana.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so we are going to vote for Bev Berger to be vice chairman. Is that correct? All right.
By acclamation.
Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Bev?
Yeah, I'll vote. Why not? I'm always
All right.
told if somebody nominates you, you should at least vote. Sure,
All
why
right.
not?
We are starting on a really interesting note. I will also vote yes. So we have now a new chairman in Margaret Martin and a new vice chair in Beverly Berger. I assume that starts at our next meeting in January. Congratulations, everyone.
I couldn't be happier for you.
All right.
I'm extremely happy for Margaret.
And thank you, Brandy, for all you've done.
Oh, you're sweet, Margaret. It was my pleasure. Thank you. All right. Item number 4, consideration of City of Franklin contract 2020-0244 between the City of Franklin and Friends of Franklin Parks lease agreement for event spaces at the park at Harlansdale Farm.
Thank you, Chairman. It's hard to now get serious after.
Or pass, yeah, after that,
or-
follow that.
It's
show.
hard to follow that. But if you're having a bad day, you can watch this at the beginning and it makes you smile. So.
Absolutely. We aim to
Thank
please.
you. Thank you. Angie, can you see my screen on everyone? Okay, thank you. So I have with me today, joining us this afternoon is Tori Barnhill, is the Executive Director of Friends of Franklin Parks. We also, I believe, have on the phone the President, which is Jamie Parker, as well as a former President, Monty McInturf. So I thank each of them for being here, and they will join in the conversation here shortly as I briefly kind of give an update of where we are with this process. So for the past 5 years, we've had a relationship with a public-private partnership with Friends of Franklin Parks. And what's before you this afternoon is we're bringing forth jointly a lease agreement for the park at Harlansdale Farm for specific areas. I'd like to go through those areas with you and then invite Friends of Franklin Parks to say a few words, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have after that. But what the lease entails is for a period of 20 years with an option to renew for an additional 5 for a total of 25 years. And so therefore, the first area is the existing, and what's on the screen before you is the existing multipurpose arena. When we first started at Harlansdale and the arena was built, it only included the concession area of where my cursor is in this small area through here where the arena was constructed. Now it is around 8.26 acres. And there's been multiple events that have taken place, from arena polo over the years, multiple equine events, concerts, educational days, and equestrian shows. The lease outlines monthly rent now for the 8.26 acres, a monthly rent for Friends of Franklin Parks that will pay the city not only for the use, but also includes maintenance, equipment used for the maintaining the grounds on the 8-acre site, boarding of horses during events, and concessions. So this includes this barn that we use currently for boarding horses, but it's included in this lease, as well as the concession stand. The city parks department maintains the restroom within that shelter as well. This is a 60-40 split where the city parks operates is paying 60% and Friends of Franklin Parks paying 40% of the overall cost to operate and maintain the arena site itself of what's shown on the screen. The lease outlines the specific responsibilities of each party moving forward and will be reevaluated every 3 years. And this includes rent as well as the evaluation of the overall process. In 2021, both parties will be working in the calendar year 2021, both parties will be working to purchase a shared software program for the property and establish parking plans when multiple events take place on the property, along with respite times that for the overall property. Because it is important to know that the goal is not to have an event every single weekend, and we both agree upon that. But when does it make sense and how does those plans work? The second thing that I want to bring to your attention, and I'm going to quickly move to the screen, is to the Hayes home. Part of the lease is also some restoration efforts. Let me enlarge that slightly so that you can see. The Hayes home, this includes, we do not have a lease would come with this as an addendum to this lease later on for rent and those specifics. But what's included right now in order to begin the restoration efforts is Friends of Franklin Parks will take the lead in conjunction with the Parks Department and other various city departments to choose a consultant off an existing request of qualifications list and begin the design and restoration of this historic home on the property through the city's development approval process. Friends of Franklin Parks will fund the restoration efforts, while the city will be responsible for infrastructure upgrades and the exterior improvements on the grounds on this specific premises surrounding the Hayes home. An addendum will accompany the lease, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, in the future that will outline rent and responsibilities for this portion of the property, just the same as what's before you today for the multipurpose arena. The final portion is the powerhouse, and it is Friends of Franklin Parks. Part of the lease is to begin fundraising for the restoration of this specific structure. They would initiate in conjunction with the City of Franklin environmental testing and remediation of the area for construction to take place in the future. But the first would come is to establish and approve the lease for what is before you this afternoon for the arena, include the restoration efforts and design and construction to start for the Hayes home, and then of course, allow for fundraising to begin and remediation for the powerhouse. So now I'll turn it over to Tori Barnhill or others who may like to speak on behalf of Friends of Franklin Parks, and maybe once they're complete, then we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Tori?
I had to mute myself. Thank you very much for allowing us to come forth with this new lease, and we are very appreciative. Thank you to the aldermen and to the city staff. We have spent many hours discussing this and really try to do due diligence and follow the master plan together. Lisa and I have spent a lot of time together working through some minutia. We've learned a lot over the past 4 to 5 years about leasing. So we just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to moving forward and raising the money for these projects and bring Harlansdale to fruition. And Monty McInturf he can speak on behalf of our board and the Harlansdale committee, but we've been through many processes over the past couple of years to get to this point, and so we hope that you're in agreement with this.
Yeah, thank you, Tori. I'd like to say a couple of things. Our Harlansdale committee and the Friends of the Parks group is super excited about the next steps. You guys entrusted us with the opportunity for the arena, and we delivered, and we're asking to keep that arena relationship going. We feel like these other asks of these other projects, what that's based on is there is a lot of community support to bring the Hayes House back to life. And there's a lot of support for helping the old power station be refurbished and brought back to life, and to tell the story of old Franklin and the Harlansdale Farm. So the opportunities are huge, and we feel like this lease agreement is a win-win for the city, the Parks Department, and I guess a win-win-win, and Friends of Franklin Parks. We feel like this is the next step, so that we can show you that we're good stewards and bring more people to the table and more opportunity for the city of Franklin and the awesome Parks Department that we have. So we thank you for looking at this. We feel like it's a very wonderful opportunity for everybody at the table. Thank you.
Okay, Jamie, are you on the phone? I didn't know if Jamie wanted to say anything since he had joined the meeting. All right. I will go ahead and ask for a motion on this, and then we can have some discussion.
Can we get the screen sharing taken down?
Absolutely.
There you go.
There you go. Waiting on a motion.
I'll move approval.
All right. Thank you, Dana.
Second.
Second from Bev. All right. Any discussion?
There's supposed to be a lease term. But I don't see it.
I know on the arena that was 25 years with 5-year, but I don't know.
No, the rent.
Oh,
Rent,
The rent fee chart.
yes. There is a rent fee chart within the attachments. The rents around, it's based on a monthly rent of 3.5% of an increase each year. And it would start around $1,236 to start in the 2021. So
for
that
all of those parcels?
for just the arena site.
Okay.
We would establish a new rent whenever the restoration of the Hayes home would start for that site, but we would do an addendum to it. So that equals out to be around, Alderman McClendon, that equals out to be around $14,800 a year.
And does the city also collect any of the revenue that's generated at the site?
We will receive a monthly rent. We will not receive the revenue that they produce. Now, we do have the revenue opportunities throughout the whole site. So any special event that's taken place at Harlansdale, the city still operates the full site. So through when the main barn comes on board, we would receive those revenues. We receive revenues for pilgrimage, any of the rentals that might take place that come through our seat committee.
So we're renting initially we're renting the event arena for $1,200 a month.
Correct.
And whatever revenue the lessee generates is theirs to keep.
It's theirs to keep. And in return, the goal is in order to, and that's why it's important to include, is they want to be able to reinvest back to the property. And so that's where the Hayes home and the powerhouse come into play, to use some of that revenue in order to generate from the revenue they make in the arena to go back to those areas.
but there's not an obligation to do that.
There's no obligation. I think Tori or Monty may be able to speak a little bit more of kind of how their revenue streams have gone and then the fundraisers in which they've raised for the property so far.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that. The intent, Mr. McClendon, is to allow revenue to be brought into the park system to remain to help the initial build outs and of all our parks, right? Our dream is that we get all these properties built out at no cost to the city. And for the initial build out of it, there are costs for maintenance, but we build it out and the revenue that occurs will stay in the park system, stay in Harlansdale, work on the other 16 parks that we have. We see this as a vehicle for Friends of the Park, which is a not-for-profit group to continue to enhance our parks. So this is a vehicle to bring revenue through a nonprofit for the benefit of our park system. And our books are open and are audited and are reviewed, and we're happy to continue that process. That's our intent, to help the park system. So we feel like this is a really great opportunity. We actually paid for the bulk of that arena, and we're agreeing to pay for all of the Hayes House renovation, and we're also agreeing to pay for all the startup for the process for the power station, and there's a lot of interest there, but people just want to know that the process can begin. So this is a vehicle to allow all that to occur. So there's really no risk for the city, and it's actually a gift of bringing these back to the life, so the taxpayer doesn't have to do it.
And can I add to that some of the language that's written into these sections in the amendment, that you'll see that education and leadership, and along with the Parks Master Plan, are included in each of the structures, because that is the goal, is to share this treasure and the history and the story of. There's so much to tell in this group, with the equestrian knowledge and the passion and bringing people together that are passionate about this particular park. So this is just a great opportunity, and those are our goals. So when these things are restored, that they're jewels to be shared with everyone.
Dana, do you have more?
Well, I don't, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see the rent attachment in what I got. This is nothing other than an honest question. I know that Friends of Franklin Parks has had a number of fundraisers and fundraising events and done quite well and raised a lot of money at and through Harlansdale and spent a great deal of money at Harlansdale. I'm wondering how much of the Friends of Franklin Park revenue and fundraising has managed to get into other parks.
I'll be happy to speak to that.
Go ahead, Tori.
No, absolutely. That's a great question. So it's two separate parts. So if you make a donation to a particular project, your donation goes into a restricted fund. And in the city, during our meetings, they do have a copy of our budget. You can see that when we committed to $300,000 for the main barn a couple of years ago, that money went into account, and it's not touchable except to go towards main barn funding of what the city needs for that project. It's the same with the Hayes House. We have commitments and we have donations that are in a restricted fund. We have people that were interested in seed money for the power station. And so five years ago, we had a donation there, and it's sitting there waiting for that to queue up. Just recently, Barge Wagner made a seed donation for the inclusive playground, and that's still in infancy and has not been outlined, the fundraising piece of that, but it's in a restricted fund. That money cannot be touched except for that project. We are a very razor thin, budget-oriented organization, money goes towards projects. We have very limited administrative costs. So when we raise money like at Raise the Roofs, proceeds are voted on by our board. How much do we need to go into administration? How much do we need to go towards special projects? We voted last year for 25 to 50,000 go to special projects. That would cover the ping pong project at Pinkerton. That would cover.
Or that did cover. Don't say would, did.
Thank
That's
you.
his question, Tori. I think his question is, knowing Dana, is that it seems very Harlansdale focused.
Right.
And if and when, or will you shift some of those funds to other places? And is that correct, Dana?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what a fair rental value of an 8.62 acre equestrian arena would be. But I'm not particularly interested. I've said this publicly before. I very much value the partnership the city has forged with the Friends of Franklin Parks, and I'm very grateful for all the money that's been raised. I have consistently asked the question, is it Friends of Harlansdale or is it Friends of Franklin Parks? And I know about the picnic table. I'm just wondering, or the ping pong table, I'm just hoping that money that is being raised by and through this effort gets, at least some of it gets into other parks.
I totally agree with you. And I will
1 second, Monty. Go ahead.
that we're raising money for the trailhead too, for the future trailhead that'll connect the bridge to a neighborhood. That's a separate line item. We do have a Trails and Riverwalk committee. We're probably not talking about a lot of that right now. I mean, we can, but separate fundraising that goes into a different line item. We have a very healthy line item in our budget for that, for those projects that we're trying to queue up. Like we just purchased the Lewisburg property that came up with some other nonprofits, and we had that in a Trails line item on our budget. So I think it feels very Harlansdale Central, but we're definitely working on some other areas, and I think those will be talked about a lot more in 2021.
All right, Monty, I'm going to try to push this along because we've got a window of time, but I see your hand. I want you to go ahead and be able to respond.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this agreement is a Harlansdale focused agreement, but our intentions of Friends of the Parks are to help all the parks. I can say that there's been volunteer groups that have gone over to Aspen Grove Park, which is a park that doesn't have tremendous amount of usage. And we did trail clearing, and there's people meeting on behalf of other parks in our organization on a monthly basis to enhance all the parks. This agreement is focused to Harlansdale. And so let the public know that, yes, Harlansdale is a priority for our organization, because it would just be terrible for something to happen to those structures out there. And we feel like the preservation of this is a gem in our town. So we're trying to help preserve a gem park while we continue to work on all parks. So let the record state that we're in support of helping all parks and just bring opportunities to the table, and we want to help.
Gotcha. Margaret or Bev, do you have any comments you'd like to make? I know this will probably go to a work session, or no? Eric is.
I'm good. I certainly am in support of this, and I think we need to put the money where it's needed most, and I appreciate this very much.
We would look for your guidance on if you think we ought to bring it to the full board for a work session discussion. Certainly, it's an important agreement, and so kind of look for your feedback on if you'd like us to do that. We can certainly put it on the first January work session if you'd like, or we can put it on consent if you all are comfortable, if you vote it unanimously.
I think work session would probably be good, just because we've got 4 other members and just so everybody's on the same page. It does not negate at all the opportunity that Friends of Franklin Parks has brought to us in general, and very grateful. I know that it's a long tenured lease. I know the reason for that, and I know I guess I have a couple of questions, but I'm not going to get into them now. Eric, mute. We're echoing.
Oh, sorry.
So let's go ahead and do a roll call vote and expect this to be put on January work session. I think it's January 12th, possibly. All right, Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes, passes unanimously. Thank you all for your time. Moving on to item number 5, consideration of the updated master plan for Liberty Park. Lisa.
Thank you, Chairman. So in 2008, we had a master plan completed for Liberty Park. And so over the last year, we have been working diligently to update that master plan. We have in the CIP, we have $5.4 million set aside for another wave of projects to be completed at this park. But it was important to not just look at a few projects, but what would the master plan do? Because we believe parkland impact fees will pay for the majority of the improvements over time in this area because of the majority of dwelling units that are taking place in the neighborhoods surrounding it. So what's on your screen today is you have the existing, this was 85 acres, believe it or not. We purchased it in 2000 at $10,000 an acre. So it tells you how times have passed and how young I was when I started here. So in the new, it shows to where we are including, and I'm just going to kind of run through this and then show you another aerial, is we're looking at to do some tennis courts as well as pickleball courts. I forgot to mention Paige Cruz, our assistant director, is on this line, and she'll also be able to answer any questions.
I have a question for you on that map. You're looking at a map that I do not see in our packet, and you've got the numbers over there. We have a sheet with all the numbers on it. I printed it out on one of the items.
I'll show a different aerial here in a minute, but our consultant was able to, I thought it was a little vague, and our consultant just got this to us, and I will be putting this out to you all. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just looking in relationship to the numbers where they were located. That
yes,
is good. Is there a way to make this any bigger that we can look at it?
I can sure try.
Very difficult to see. Oh yeah, yeah.
Around. So what you have.
That's great because I have the numbers here. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that out.
That helps.
So this is the existing facility. We're looking at to tie in for ADA accessibility to existing batting cages that are in this area. It also has including in upgrading. We have not upgraded our lighting and to upgrade our sports lighting in the existing facility for LED lighting. We are looking to grade. There is some rough grade parking areas now. We would add parking trays to this area. We have a farmer's market located right here where number 6 is, and this would allow for the shelter because that farmer's market, we're now going into our 3rd year of a partnership with this area, and people do come by and utilize this space, as Alderman Berg can share with you in this area. We are looking to add a new sport. We do not have the property, but what's included here is a practice sport for cricket. This is a large portion. We have over 200 players within the city of Franklin and over 400 outside in Williamson County that play in leagues in Nashville. So our goal is to begin to look at a sort of circular cricket practice facility along with batting cages for cricket designed for that sport. This will also have, you'll transverse through the area. At number 4s, you'll see these in different locations. You'll have public restroom facilities. We currently do not have any on this side of the park. In this area is our current disc golf course that we have. We are proposing to do up in this larger area is mountain biking. So this would connect to the other mountain biking trails that we have now. So you would have a trailhead, restroom facilities and parking for both areas. You could transverse through the site and it would actually lead you to Columbia State through a TVA easement. And so we're already working through with them to allow us to have access through this easement. And then this is where the mountain biking trail exists on Columbia State side. So we would have several miles of mountain biking trails with this new plan. We've also have a main restroom and special event area. So we don't do any rentals on Pavilion side. So this would allow for the neighbors and HOAs in this area to have a larger space to be able to rent like we do at Jim Warren. You have the existing salt facility. And what's also included, excuse me, because I don't know how to operate my cursor. So let me pan over. On Oxford Glen, there's also a multi-purpose trail system that leads down to the Publix on this way. So it was important to be able that we move people throughout the whole site. And as development takes place on this land, we will also look at with the development of those connections. We didn't want to just put it on a master plan and not know exactly where things would be. This provides us the opportunity now, and what we're looking at is we ask for your consideration to approve this updated master plan, but take a look at it between now and maybe we would like to bring this back maybe even to work session so I could share this with the other board members if you would. Because if there is something else that we need to add to this master plan, I'd like to do that then. And in 2021, we would then choose the projects with the administration, a recommendation to go into a professional service agreement to meet the CIP funding that we have. And then, and within about 2 to 3 years, we would bring some new things to the table. Chairman, that's all I have for this.
This is very exciting.
I do want to show an aerial.
Great.
Most designs. So this is what it would look like if it was built out. And so I thought it was a pretty cool design to be able to share with the public. This is Mars as it sits today. You have McKay's Mill and the existing ball fields. So you can kind of see basically an aerial of what it would look like when it was built out.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. We've got about 10 more minutes before we're going to have to get out of here. So I'm going to entertain a motion to move this to the full board, please.
But so moved.
Margaret, may I have a second? Bev, all right. Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes, passes unanimously. Thank you, Lisa and Paige. Item number 6, consideration of ordinance 2020-29, an ordinance to establish a school zone on Carruthers Parkway for Thales Academy.
So this came up actually due to traffic issues that we had associated with Thales Academy. They were actually backing traffic up so bad, it backed up onto 96. Our traffic operations center, Adam Mosier, led our team to try to go meet with them and see what we could do to improve circulation around the school. And we did that, and they were successful at being able to fix some of those problems that we had when they opened. But during those meetings, what came up was a request for a school zone to be placed on Carruthers Parkway. And because it's not a daycare, it's a K through 5 school, we offered them the same deal that we have historically done with other private schools, such as BGA, is to look to implement it using our traffic calming budget of where they pay for 50% of it and we pay for 50% of it. And we work with them to install school zone signs. So we needed to get this ordinance approved. I want to try to quickly share my screen to show you the location on Carruthers Parkway. And you should be able to see my screen right now. And so this is where they are located on Carruthers Parkway. And so we would work with them to establish an appropriate school zone. I also know that they use an officer to help direct traffic over there as well. So at this point in time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Could you please show us a little bit better where the school is? I see your map, but I don't know what's around it.
I think it's directly across from the driver's license testing facility.
Yes. Here's Highway 96, and Brandy is correct. It's directly across the street from the driver's facility.
Okay, was that the bridal shop?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, the Garrett's place.
And this is SOAR where they have it's kind of like a big playground.
Was across the street. That used to be the Gate Church and they sold it to Thales. Yeah, we definitely need this here.
All right, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All right, first and second. Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana? Dana?
I'll go ahead and vote yes.
All right, I think Dana voted yes electronically, correct? All right. I will also vote yes, passes 4-0. Item number 7, consideration of change order 2 to City of Franklin contract 2019-0236, a construction contract with Civil Constructors LLC for the municipal services complex improvements at a cost increase of $319,188.41 plus a bonus for early completion of $47,000.
So we've been putting early completion bonuses on a lot of our contracts to encourage contractors to work efficiently and get projects done. This is the final change order, and they did complete the project 47 days early. The overruns are associated with failing subgrades, a few additional requests that were made between our solid waste folks up there and fire department as it relates to the EVOC pad of replacing some concrete. We're able to work that into this contract, but it did cause a project overrun. We are proud. The facility was in terrible condition. The pavement was. And if you go up there now, it looks absolutely amazing. And we did some utility improvements, and we actually have hydrants that work at the training site. So it's pretty impressive, all the work that we got done. And David Hodnett was our project manager. David, if you could just wave at everybody. Just really proud of all the work he did out there. So happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, David. I know this is an important project, so good job, team. I will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
All right, thank you, Margaret. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bev. Roll call vote, starting with Margaret. How do you vote?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Thank you. And Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes, passes unanimously. Good job, guys. Item number 8, consideration of draft resolution 2020-253, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to approve agreements and the use of condemnation, if necessary, for the acquisition of rights of way and or easements for the Jordan Road Improvements Project.
So again, one of the board's priority projects was Jordan Road, and we are pushing forward with it. We're at a point right now where we're ready to start the acquisition of property. We will use condemnation as a last resort. We are asking you to give authority to Eric to settle the right of way. Of course, we will report those on behalf to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen so that you know what we're paying people and that we're proceeding with it. Generally speaking, we usually stay within $10,000 or 10% of an appraisal. So it's very regulated and very monitored as to what we typically are willing to even offer these folks. And this is pretty much the same thing we just did recently at the board meeting for McEwen. So we are recommending approval to proceed with this.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Bev. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, roll call vote. Margaret?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Item number 10, we're gonna make it. Consideration of city. 9. I crossed it out. I was so excited. Consideration of resolution 2020-225, a resolution to supply sanitary sewer services to 4038 Clovercroft Road.
So you have previously granted availability to this property. This is the standard resolution agreement that we go through that allows the city administrator to enter. The standard resolution that will allow the city administrator to enter into the annexation and availability agreements with the conditions of that the homeowner sign the annexation, that they're responsible for costs connecting to the sewer, and that both of those agreements will be recorded with the Register of Deeds.
Is this a homeowner? You said homeowner.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the church. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought it was the church. Okay. I'm like, what house are we talking about now? Okay, I'll move for approval.
Thank you, Bev. May I have a second? Thank you, Margaret. Any discussion? All right, Margaret, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. Now, item number 10, right?
Yes.
Right. Consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2020-0278 with, I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm gonna spell it AECOM USA Inc., a professional services agreement for pump station evaluation and structural support for Franklin Water Treatment Plant. Michelle.
So this is two separate things that we've combined into one agreement. So in our budget this year, we since we have SCADA that's established gathering pump station data for each of our collection system areas, we'd like to have a consultant come in and kind of start performing evaluations to make sure that the pumps are performing on the required pump curve, that the efficiencies are there, any sort of modifications we need to make. And so this is, we're kind of peeling off a little bit of stations, a couple of stations every year. And so these are we're going to do there's one station in Forest Crossing, and then there's, we're still working on the other two, pending some work with some developers. And then the structural support for the water plant is there are two valves that are, have been leaking, and we do not have a way to access them. So this would be to kind of pull together a structural design to where we can access those for repair, for replacement if we need to.
All right. May I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Bev. You're my hero. And a second?
Second.
Dana. All right. Any discussion?
Michelle, how many pump stations do we have in the city?
26 or 27.
Yeah. So you just randomly pick which ones you're going to look at, or is there a method to that madness?
Well, it's kind of a collaborative process. We look at, we kind of talk to the pump station operators where we see significant amounts of like grease or other areas that need to be improved. And then we also look at some of our pump station data where we have pumps that are running more frequently than they should. They're probably being overworked with more flow coming into the station than there should be. And so those are kind of the indicators for the evaluation to start.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, starting with Margaret.
Yes.
Dana.
Yes.
Bev.
Yes.
I also vote yes. Passes unanimously. On item number 11, we're going to act like we're a late night TV show. And Jonathan or Paul, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to give us the highlight reel.
I won't even need the whole minute and 30 seconds. So the only one I'll really highlight, unless you have any questions, is we held the pre-construction meeting for the 96 West Trail this morning. That project is anticipated to get a notice to proceed for construction January 4th, so the first working day of the new year.
Awesome. Paul?
That's it.
He left you some time. Paul, you got anything?
No, we're working hard on a lot of the capital projects and trying to deliver them as quickly as possible. So any questions, we're happy to answer.
Are we on time, or are we behind, or are we, I don't even say ahead. Are we on time or behind on McEwen 4?
I think we're right on time of what we originally projected. We're actively acquiring right-of-way and working through that process right now, but I think we're sitting pretty good to stay in the original time frame that we had predicted.
All right, thanks.
All right. Margaret? Yes, ma'am.
I just have to know where we are, Paul, on the traffic signal at West Haven.
No.
I'm gonna let Jonathan handle that. I think he's been more involved than me.
The last I received notice from Adam and the contractor, the poles are supposed to come in at the end of next week. So first of the year, they'll be out there to install the poles and finish the striping. That's the last update I've heard from them.
I'll join them.
Oh.
Margaret, you've got your pet peeve project, and so do I.
All right. Any other discussion for the good of the group?
Oh, I just real quick. This is Margaret's project over there, but how is Franklin Road coming? Are they on time? How are they doing?
They're doing great. I watch them every day. What do you think, Bob?
I just don't know about the time.
I think we're doing good. They, got to a little bit of a slow start with some of the utilities, which that's typical in these type of projects. But, Civil is working extremely hard with their subcontractors to try to get this project done. They've continued to indicate they're going for the bonus, and we want them to get the bonus so we can get them out of the roadway.
What side is that sidewalk on?
On both sides.
Oh, it is on both? I couldn't remember.
Yes, it will.
I just didn't remember. Thank you.
The utilities are the big focus right now, though.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Thank you so much. Margaret, how do you vote?
yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bev? Yes, I think that's a yes. I also vote
I
yes.
think that was a yes.
Thank you all for your time and your hard work. And
Yeah.
Margaret, I look forward to having
What's that
you.
now? Are you there?
Yes, I look forward to
I
you
vote
having you.
yes.
Thank you